Hey guys, good morning. It's Holy Week, and yesterday on Sunday we began the journey that began at the point of the Palm Sunday, Jesus coming into Jerusalem riding on a donkey to the accolades of many people. And now we've come to Monday, busy day for Jesus, confrontation, distractions, so many different things. And yet the one that I want to pick up on today, amongst the many that one could pick up on, is the issue of the temple. When Jesus came in on the Monday, he went straight to the temple, which is a place of worship. And when he got there, he was confronted by something that made him mad. Now, you know, there is anger out there, and sometimes we think anger is a bad thing. Well, I got to tell you, I think we get angry over wrong things. When we get angry over the right things, then it's a righteous indignation, it's a righteous anger. So the question we have to ask, first of all, today is what makes you mad? The things that make you mad, are there things that would make God mad? Or are there things that are just inconvenience you, things that maybe are outside of your control? But Jesus arrives at the temple that day and he sees something that really makes him mad. He sees the traders trading. It's about to be Passover. And these guys were selling offerings for people who had walked long distances, who maybe had been unable to bring an offering with them. And the men of the people were selling these offerings that people could make at exorbitant prices. And it's the height of injustice. When the rich take it out on the poor, when the rich flaunt the poor, and they flaunt their own wealth with no conscience at all, that makes Jesus really mad. And so we see Jesus doing something that gentle Jesus, meek and mild, would never in our wildest imaginations do. But he starts to turn over the tables and he drives them out, these people. In one of the Gospels, he even took a whip and he drove them out and he beat the heck out of those people. And he was angry because of the injustice that the poor and the marginalized and the under-resourced were suffering at the hands of the wealthy. And Jesus was saying, you are preventing these people from legitimate worship. Now, a couple of questions we have to ask right now. Do we get angry over the same things? Are we angry with injustice? Do we get angry with the things that would maybe anger God? You know, we see them all the time. We see this injustice, we see this unfairness all around us in our lives. And where we live, particularly in our country, there is so much of this around, but we either rationalize it, we justify it, or we make it less to what it is, probably because we see it all the time. And Jesus is looking at those same injustices and saying, will somebody please get mad about that? Will somebody please get mad about the injustice that takes place between socioeconomic things, between racial groups? Jesus has no time for those things. And we have to ask ourselves, well, maybe we should make time to deal with some of those things as well. If they were such a big deal to Jesus, and injustice is a big deal to Jesus, maybe it should be a big deal to us. That's the first thing. The second thing that we have to ask ourselves is that the people that were there for a legitimate reason to worship. And when people become a hindrance to the worship of God, that's a problem to God. When people hinder people from becoming or coming to legitimate worship and to love God and to be faithful to Him and to commit, you know, there's a choice that each one of us has to make in our lives. It's basically this. Are we a bridge to Jesus being able to minister to people? Or have we just become a blind spot to people? Are we bridge builders, or are we destroying the relationship that Jesus could have because we become an inhibitor of the relationship that Jesus wants with other people? So we have to ask ourselves, are we building bridges between people, or are we creating burdens for people? That's a question we, as I guess maybe South Africans, need to ask ourselves. Maybe not just South Africans, but all over the world, I would say. Maybe they need to ask, are we building bridges? Are we as a church building bridges that people could come, or are we hindering the bridge building process? Let's ask ourselves those questions, because those are the things that made Jesus mad. And if Jesus got mad over those things, I would suggest people, maybe we need to do the same. Let's be bridge builders, that people can come to our church, to the kingdom of God, to meet Jesus unhindered by people who are acting unjustly. So we need to think about those things today, as this Monday is a journey of deep, deep introspection. That's why it's devotional by nature. So let's make the most of this one. Think about that today, people, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.